Hi, welcome to another edition of Reflections. I'm your host, Deontay Brewer. A part of Reflections is myself interviewing local Fort Wayne inhabitants who live and work here in Allen County. I like to spotlight them and discuss their life here in Fort Wayne, their roots of origin, as well as, their daily walking activities, daily life here in Fort Wayne. So, welcome to the special edition of Reflections. I'm going to interview James Ouellette. He's an employee here at the Allen County Public Library where he serves as a training specialist. Thank you for being on this journey with me as I reflect and interview James on today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hi, welcome to another edition of Reflections. I'm your host, Deontay Brewer. Today I will be interviewing James Ouellette. He is an employee here at the Allen County Public Library. He's a training specialist. So today we'll discuss his role as a training specialist. We'll also discuss his life in his hometown and his new life here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So let's welcome James Ouellette to another edition of Reflections. Hi, James.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It has been a day already. Let's start off. Will you tell the viewers where you're from?
So I was born in a small town called Amherstburg, Ontario. It's in Canada, and it's just about 30 minutes south of the Detroit border. It's downriver, so I would have to drive north to get to Detroit. I lived right along the Detroit River and Lake Erie.
Okay. Do you mean Detroit, Michigan?
Yeah, it's very close, very close.
Oh, wow.
So Michigan's here, and Canada comes all the way down, so we're right at the very bottom.
Okay. That is so interesting. When I picture Canada, I picture it so far away from the United States.
Right.
But I've had people tell me, that they, can go through New York, Buffalo, New York, or, and get to Canada. So that's very interesting. Do you or family members or just people where you live, do you all speak French?
I do not speak French.
Okay.
Just from what I learned in school, it was required growing up. It is a bilingual country.
Okay.
So it is required. I don't speak French, but there is a French school in my hometown, and some people do speak French.
Okay.
Fluently, but I don't.
Okay. So, as you know, the United States has distinct customs and traditions and, things that are followed, by its citizens. How does, where you live, the Canadian society, how does it differ from life here in the States?
Right. Well, because I grew up so close to America, I really had so much American influence growing up that when I moved to Toronto, which is about 4 hours north, I had a little bit of a culture shock in the sense that I didn't know Celsius like most. A lot more people were speaking about, growing up, we speak about the American government. We talking about Fahrenheit weather. When I went up to Toronto, it was way more talking about what's going on with the Canadian political system. So it's a very interesting dynamic living so close to America with not actually being American.
Okay.
The town that I grew up in is very historic.
Okay.
Because it always had a great it has a great relationship now because of all the trade, a lot of the industries.
Sure.
If you drive throughout Windsor and Amherstburg, you see a lot of American flags.
Okay.
But before it wasn't always like that. There was the War of 1812 was a big
Yes.
war between Britain and America,
Sure.
and that's kind of that point in my town where that drawing boundary line between the British and America was.
Okay.
So I grew up in a very historic town. We have a museum of African American heritage because it was on the Underground Railroad.
Nice.
A lot of people would go through Michigan, through Lake Erie, would come up through the south, right up through Michigan, and receive freedom in Canada.
Oh,
So
wow.
They have it has a lot of historic deep appreciation and in that town for being a spot of that.
To reiterate what you're saying, or should I say, from what I gathered, there's ties between this town in Canada or the society in the United States. Like you said, with it being deeply, that impressed me with the Underground Railroad. For slaves to escape that harsh reality down south and have the Underground Railroad go through near where you're from, and to be able to receive their freedom there is very inspiring and intriguing. And perhaps some of those Africans or African Americans settled there in Canada. So very, very neat. I know that you reside here in Fort Wayne now, but do you still have family there?
Yeah, my whole family's back there.
Okay.
In Amherstburg. So my mom, my dad, and I have a sister and 2 nieces who also live there. And then my other sister lives in Florida, and then my brother lives in Cambodia. So
Oh, wow. So
like a
you
traveling
have-
family, yeah.
And so do you now, James, can you pronounce it? Is it Amherstburg?
Amherstburg, yeah.
Amherstburg. Okay,
Yeah.
Amherstburg. So
Love
do
Amherstburg.
you Amherstburg? Do you visit there?
Well, I haven't been able to go back because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the border has been closed. But usually I go back there a couple times a year. It's only 2.5 hours away.
Okay.
So it's pretty close, and I have had friends come down here, so
Okay.
it's real
Nice.
easy. Yeah.
Nice. What are some of your favorite memories growing up in Amherstburg?
Amherstburg was a great place to be raised. It was voted the safest community in all of Canada multiple years in a row.
Wow.
It is a great place where everyone, I mean, for better or for worse, you walk down the street and everyone knows your name, especially someone who's like loud and eccentric as I am. So but yeah, they definitely, we all know each other. By far my greatest memory of growing up in Amherstburg is I was a lifeguard for our pool, and we had, it was the perfect way to spend a summer. It was a place that I got to work with so many people who have made an impact on who I am right now.
Okay.
My oldest sister, Denise, she worked there, and then my brother worked there, and then my other sister and me worked there at the same time.
Okay.
And it was just, you're teaching swim lessons in the morning, you're lifeguarding in the afternoon, and you're working for the community, you're working for the
Yes,
public.
yes,
It was just,
yes.
it was it's my favorite memory. It's something I look back on now and smile. It's where every teenager should spend their summer. It was just that place
Yes.
of welcoming and love, and all, just having fun in the summer and being accepted for who you are.
It sounds very fun. I've been swimming since I was a child, and I have a brother that was a lifeguard here
Nice.
at one of the YMCA's here for many years. I don't think I could have been a lifeguard though. No, I love the water. I love to swim, but I mean, you have to spring into action
Right.
if something, God forbid, happens. And I think that I would probably panic, and you cannot panic, especially if that child or adult is panicked.
Right.
Those skills have to be put into use. So how admirable of you,
Yeah.
to complete that service there in Canada.
I love that, yeah.
And it sounds like it was a lot of fun, and working there with your siblings must have been fun too.
Oh yeah, it was definitely interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
and even the lifeguards that weren't there, or that weren't my family there, you become family at the end.
Yeah.
You're every day with them,
Yeah.
and they really make such an impact on my life.
Yes, yes.
Those were definitely my best memories growing up.
It sounds like it was a lot of fun. Now, someone like myself is a foodie. I love food. Wherever I travel, I'm seeking out the best spots to eat, or I look at the local cuisine, what's popular here. If I go to Amherstburg, what foods are popular, and where do I go to eat?
All right. So we're gonna want to go to. Okay, it's not really a restaurant. It's called Romano's Meat. It's like a meat shop.
Okay.
And you can get you sandwiches, but they have the best meat. It's Italian meat in Delhi.
Okay.
And you want to go to Romano's fine, or Romano's, I don't know what it's called. No, that's a different story that I'm thinking of.
Okay.
But Romano's is really good.
Okay.
But that's more of like meats and delis, sandwiches.
Okay.
I was gonna say Rocco's Fine Food, but that closed.
Okay.
What was that? What else was there? Okay, we got lots of good pizza.
Okay.
Naples, Rosa's, and if you would come back when I was younger, there was a place that I worked with called the Verdi Club. Vince Moyo was the president. Marina Simone was my manager, and that was like the best. Everyone got married there. They had the best food ever. And so I wish if I go Italian. We have a very big. I'm half Italian, half French Canadian.
Okay.
We have a very big there's like all my friends are like Moyo. Like it's very Italian. A very Italian culture there too.
Okay.
So, anyways, yeah. So lots of Italian food. There's we have an ice cream parlor right on because it's old Navy Yard because of all the Navy ships from the war. So it's out there. There's cannons, and you can go get some ice cream and walk down by the river.
Okay.
It is very Norman Rockwell-esque.
You
Picture
said it.
perfect like that. It is like that.
I love it.
You should definitely come when the border opens.
Okay.
It's a great. Amherstburg is just it's very beautiful place, especially when you would drive in. I'm getting off topic, but when you would drive up not Malden Road, when you drive up Front Road, it literally, this one road takes you all the way to Detroit. It takes you and you drive along Detroit River, and it's so beautiful. And you look to your left, and you see all of Michigan, all of downriver Michigan. And you go through like 3 or 4 cities on that side. There's River Rouge and Taylor and Brownstown, Brown something, and on that side and on this side it's all Canada. So it's a really, really unique place to live, where you're in the middle of 2 worlds.
It sounds very unique. And when you mentioned the sandwich shop,
Romano's,
the meat, the I love salami.
Oh my goodness.
Italian salami, I was eating some last night, and it's addictive. You cut, it's kind of the shape of it, and you cut it kind of at an angle, and I ate a piece, and, I was eating something else. I cooked a roast, and but then I went right back and got another piece of the, so that sounds, I'm a big fan of Italian food. So,
yeah.
The Lay's potato chips here, there was like a flavor that they came out with a few years ago, and I think it had ketchup or something.
Ketchup chips, yeah.
Yeah, and I was talking to someone about that, and I heard that was very popular in Canadian society. Ketchup
chips, yeah.
Yeah. And so, have you know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely, yeah. I guess I never knew that was not a thing until I moved here. People are like, that's not a thing.
No, not here in the United States. So I'm glad you pinpointed and
absolutely,
made that clarify that for me.
Love that.
So we've talked about your life in Amherstburg and all the wonderful memories you have, and so now we'll talk about life, as you've progressed and gotten older. How did you come to Fort Wayne, Indiana? What brought you here to Fort Wayne, should I say?
Well, I got married.
Okay.
I met my husband on Tinder.
Okay.
And it was, like I said, Fort Wayne is not that far from, if you look on a map, from where I grew up. Like, we're only maybe an hour and a half to Toledo here. And I grew up you could see Ohio, on that. It's a very, people would ride their boats to Cedar Point. So would leave there. It was just so close to America. So I was able to match on Tinder, dating app, and I met my husband, and he's a Fort Wayne police officer here. I moved here. We dated for a little bit.
Okay.
And then I moved here in 2017.
Wow, so you've been here a few years now.
Right. And and then I became a citizen last month.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
James.
Yeah, that was a process. That was
Yes.
definitely an interesting process to become an American citizen.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, you, as I mentioned earlier, you are an employee here at the Allen County Public Library. You're a training specialist. Please tell the viewers what is a training specialist? What does that role entail for you here?
Well, I work just with all of our staff.
Okay.
And I create learning opportunities for our staff so that they can feel safe at work and that they can better serve the community. So that could be through safety trainings, like what do we do in a fire emergency, what do we do in a tornado. It could be through leadership training, management training, working with how to lead teams. And then it could be training on how librarians can find and navigate using a database system like our interlibrary loan. So I just finished a training on how libraries can work with other libraries. If we don't have a book here, how we can get that book from another library and how it's requested and sent. And it's called Ouellette. It's a great system.
Yes.
And I teach that. So anything that anyone comes up to me and says, hey, I want to know more about this, I can find resources. And sometimes I can either facilitate it or I can teach it myself, or I can just roll it out. Like we're doing the United Front Initiative through the city, and we're learning that. And so I'm working with them on how making sure all our staff does it, and that we are doing it together as an organization.
Yes, that's very interesting. You mentioned the interlibrary loan. I have utilized that service as a college student. It is wonderful. I mean, there have been books that I've needed, and the library, my college library, didn't carry those books, and thankfully, Ball State or IU had the book, and so it's a very useful service. And libraries and librarians need to be trained, on how to utilize that service. Training that takes a lot of skill. It takes a lot of patience, James, I'm sure. So,
librarianship is such a magical world because I work at a place where everyone wakes up and says, okay, what can I do today to better serve the community? What can I do to promote lifelong learning and discovery? That is the only purpose here. People say, well, and we don't care if that's books or a TV show or a podcast. It can be any type of we do this thing now with seeds where you could take seeds and grow a garden. We have like a seed library. Whatever way we can do to promote lifelong learning in a community, that is our goal. And that's a pretty great that's a pretty great system. One of the few last systems in this world that is just completely exists just for that. And you don't have to pay.
That's right. That's right. I've often said that this library is just a treasure here in Fort Wayne, and I don't think, I still don't think many citizens take advantage of it as they should. And as a lifelong learner, I certainly subscribe to that ideal. You can never stop learning. There's always something better. So you mentioned, what you do within your role as a training specialist. Did you have to have any higher education, to do this job?
Right. So before this, I worked as a director of corporate experience for a senior housing company, where I was traveling around. Around the same time of that, I got my certificate in human resource management through Cornell University, and I worked while I was working. And in that job, my job was basically to work with interior, exterior customers and vendor relations and making sure everyone was kind of on the same page about things. And I worked with a trainer, and while working with the Clay, who became one of my great friends, Clayton, he kind of got me more thinking about my role as a trainer. In being more specific than just general human resources. So that's how I kind of ended up here. And but working with people hands-on, you said the director of senior housing. I guess there were things, that you had to implement, techniques and, rules and things like that. So it applies. It all applies. You always learning.
It all goes hand in hand. Okay, so away, Mr. James, from family and from, your job. What are some hobbies that you enjoy?
I do Olympic weightlifting, so
Okay.
I focus on that. I have a meet in Ann Arbor, so I'm a member of USA Weightlifting.
Okay.
And we have, I do that with my best friend Maddie,
Okay.
and I enjoy that. Sometimes I do CrossFit. So I
Okay.
was originally doing CrossFit and I switched to Olympic weightlifting. I'm not that great at CrossFit, but I like to keep busy.
Okay.
I like to keep active.
Okay.
Any kind of sport of, running,
Okay.
moving.
Okay.
If that's 10 minutes dancing in my room, I don't care.
Okay.
I have to move every single day.
Okay.
Those are really good activities.
Okay.
And, volunteering with in getting opportunities and chances to volunteer, I love that.
Okay.
And so sometimes so I did volunteers with Mental Health of America or the Positive Resource Connection downtown. So I volunteered with events that they held there.
Okay.
So any type of, I like to keep busy.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I believe it's Mental Health Awareness Month. I believe it is.
Yeah.
I believe it is. I've seen some postings on Facebook, and I certainly support positive mental health.
Right.
And yes, you mentioned, you're very athletic and, fitness oriented. The River Greenway, do you take advantage of that here?
I don't know what that is.
So from my understanding, I want to properly phrase that it's a series of trails. People bike those trails, they walk those trails. The River Greenway is very popular here in Fort Wayne. Yes.
I've never heard. I know, I'm still new. I'm still learning.
Okay.
I'm still learning. Now I learned something new. I'm going to have to make note of that.
Yes. Yes, sir. People that, enjoy nature.
What's called Dr. Greenway?
The river Greenway. The River Greenway.
Right.
And I'm sure, your colleagues, some of your colleagues will have
Greenway.
more information. But
Where is it?
It runs, throughout Fort Wayne. It's a man-made trail that was created.
That's cool.
Yes, yes. And it extends from out south all the way out west. I mean, you should look that up. You're a person that's, you said you enjoy fitness. And like I said, people walk and, they bike and, families walk and they walk their dogs. And, so very, very interesting. So life here in Fort Wayne, how's life here in Fort Wayne for you, James?
I love Fort Wayne.
Okay.
And it has taken me in as a city
Yes.
and has welcomed me, and I've made some amazing friends and connection here, and the people here are very kind. I have really, really enjoyed it, and I have seen that it's a city that sometimes rumbles with itself. It's a city that's trying to understand itself and understand different communities and understand the challenges, but it embraces them and faces them right on. And I think that is an extremely interesting thing of a city to do. And especially after last year, I was only here for a couple years, and with the protests that were happening downtown and everything that was going on, it's a city that takes care and looks after each other, no matter what. And I have friends on both sides of the political spectrum here.
Okay.
And I have friends that believe all sorts of things. I mean, whether it's COVID or anything like that. I try to have as much collective, and so I've done theater here, and I've done just any type of thing that has got me out into the community, and I've noticed that it's a city that wants to talk about these things and doesn't shy away from hard topics. And that's really interesting. It's a very, very interesting city to live in, and I think the history of Fort Wayne is wonderful. Has a great origin, and it's a city that wants to make itself better, and it's doing a pretty good job, I think, at facing those hard topics.
The city of Fort Wayne has a couple special connections. It was founded by the French in 1794, and also, like your hometown, we have garnered an All-American City Award, All American Yes City. I believe in 1982. In the 2000s, it's been we've gotten that award a couple times in the 2000s too. So just like your hometown, yes, Fort Wayne is very interesting. It's an interesting place to live. It's become much more diverse in recent years, and I do believe, like you said, Fort Wayne is trying, as a city, trying to understand itself and the world around them or around itself, and that's very important to become aware. The world is ever changing.
Oh yes,
Ever
it is.
changing, James, whether people like it or not, and it's a good thing. I'm a history person, and I watch documentaries on how the world has evolved. From when Ellis Island, when the early 20th century, the immigrants came here, and there were such limited resources for everyone. And now, I mean, with technology, most cell phones, you can look within the phone and transport. I like to joke, transport yourself to another country.
Right.
We've come that far, in 100 years. So. Right. Certainly, you're right about that.
And just the nation right now is just changing and growing. And, when I became a citizen, I had to go through a big citizenship process. I had to learn a lot. I had questions, and they had to ask me. I had to go through a written test, and a verbal test, learning about American history. So I had to really learn all about the history. And there is... Yes. There is accountability that I have to take when I become an American. So.
Yes, and that's interesting, James. As I was just speaking about Ellis Island, today's generation don't, perhaps they've learned about it in school, but that's something, that they're not familiar with. That's something perhaps a great-great-grandparent or, but there is a process to becoming a citizen, and that's just interesting that you've achieved that. And, the city of Fort Wayne welcomes you, and I welcome you. I welcome you here.
I love it.
We talked about, I told you I was a foodie, and you recommended, some places to me, if I ever visited your hometown. Are there any restaurants, or special eateries here that you like to go to, you and your partner, that you all like to go to?
Yeah, we love the Landing.
Okay.
The down in Landing, there's the Landing Brewery and Utopia.
Okay.
So tip of the hat to that. That's great. Yeah, I anywhere downtown Fort Wayne is really, I like Pine and Slice. Okay. I like pizza, by the way. If you don't know, I'm a big, and the pizza here is okay. I will say the pizza back in Amherstburg, because of all the Italians, are way better.
Sure.
But the pizza in Fort Wayne is all right. 800 Degrees is a great place. The one down south they make great pizza. So yeah, I'm not like a foodie. But I'm like a pizza-y.
Okay.
So if it's I don't understand restaurants. I can't read a menu when I go. I don't understand. It's I don't understand.
Oh.
Okay. I do I'm not gonna look at a menu and be like, oh, that looks the creme brulee. I don't know what that is.
Okay.
I'm not someone who's uppity when it comes to food.
Okay.
Or wine. That's another thing I don't get. Wine. I don't understand it. I'm give me whatever. It's
okay.
Do you like wine?
Well, I do. I'm a classic person, but when it comes to wine, I like something that's kind of a little sweet, but not too sweet.
All right.
But I don't have a particular
red or white.
Both. Oh wow. Probably white. Yeah, white. But Hungry Howie's has good pizza. You said you like pizza. Mm-hmm. I've been eating Hungry Howie's pizza for over 20 years.
All right.
And they're on, is it West Jefferson? They have really good pizza. They have flavored crust.
Ooh.
And, the toppings, of course. And I think they're one of the few pizzerias here in Fort Wayne left that has anchovies, and I love anchovies.
You do?
I love anchovies in
Uh-oh.
my pasta too. And you talked about pasta. I love angel hair pasta, rotini, the macaroni. I make up my own concoctions.
You would have loved the Verdi Club. That would have been your place. The Verdi Club. Ugh. My friend Renee. Renee Demore. She is Italian as well, and her family makes, like, she's always cooking, but they have a wood stove, and you can make like pizzas in their backyard. Okay. That's how serious my hometown is about like wood or stone oven. I don't know what it's called. Wood oven, stone oven. Anyways, outdoor pizzas. They have it in their own backyard. They have a whole pizza thing. Yeah.
Wow.
So
yeah,
you can. Yeah.
Sbarro at the mall also. I don't know if you go to Glenbrook Mall, but they have Sbarro is Italian. You know, the pizza place, and they use those old-fashioned Italian ovens. And they'll ask you, do you want the pizza heated up? And I'm like, yeah, but I don't like it. They sometimes leave it in there too long. I don't like it to be crisp.
Yeah.
I just like it kind of warmed up. But very, very interesting. You have me hungry for pizza.
Yeah, I love it.
And wine, a glass of wine. You can never go wrong with that. So as we're going to wrap up and conclude the interview, James, what would you say has been most worthwhile on your journey? From living in Amnesburg to becoming a U.S. citizen. What's been most worthwhile for you, would you say, for our viewers?
I would say how I am starting to, appreciate the things in my life. And what I mean by that is I think everyone wants to live a happy life, right? Everyone wants to live a happy life.
That is so important.
But
I do agree.
If we look at living a happy life, that's a long time. Like, that is a long time of happiness. That's a lot of happiness. So that's almost unmeasurable, especially since many of us don't know how long we're going to live for. We can't really measure that. So how can we break that down? Well, can we live a happy year? Let's even break that down more. Can we live a happy week? Let's break that down a little more. Can we live a happy day? Let's break that down a little more. Can we be happy moments? Can we have happy moments? So what I try to do is I try to fill my day with as many happy moments as I can. Okay. Now, that might be having pizza, that might be dancing in my room, that might be talking with you. This is awesome. I try to fill I know I'm not going to be able to be happy all day, but if I can go to bed having more happy moments than sad moments, it was a happy day.
Yes.
And in 7 days, in 1 week, if I can have more happy days than sad days, some days I may have sad days, but if I can have more happy days, then that's a win, that's a happy week.
Yes.
And if I can make that to be a happy month and a happy year and a happy 10 years, and if we break happiness down into moments, how many little moments throughout the day can I fill my life with happiness? Yes. If I can have more of those moments, instead of looking at, I want to be happy all the time, that's unrealistic. I love real people. I love real humans. And I understand that sometimes people will have great happy years, and sometimes they'll have really sad years and years where they have to overcome things.
Yeah.
But if we have to keep filling our days with happy moments, eventually we could have more happy days than sad days. And those happy days turn into happy years, and those happy years turn into a happy life.
Yes.
So that's my biggest thing that I've learned throughout my life, is that though there have been challenges and obstacles and interesting things that happen, I've always tried to fill my days with happy moments.
Yes.
Just like this one.
Yes. Thank you, sir. What a grateful response and outlook and reflection. If I encourage my viewers and listeners, to take heed to what he said, if we could just fill our life with happy moments, certainly life would be much more worthwhile. Thank you, James. It's been my honor and pleasure to have you here as a guest of Reflections. Thank you for sharing bits of your life with us. Thank you, viewers, for your time. Thank you for another edition of Reflections. We'll see you next time.